Okay, folks, Sunday morning, kind of off to a late start, but things happen. That's what happens when you stay up till midnight and oversleep. It's definitely past my bedtime. But here we have it. Better late than never. It's definitely going to affect the length of this Saturday morning extravaganza. All right, let's go back to War Wagon Land. So yesterday, we painted this little guy up, and we just need to bring this guy up to the same level. So that's what we're going to be working on. Yes, a late start today. The one time you wake up early. Yeah, my brother was in town, so I got talked into watching a movie until midnight, and that really threw me off. So I have my alarm set for 5 a.m. every morning, and I opened my eyes at 6:44. So it took me 45 minutes to get everything else sorted out, get coffee going, turn in a couple turns of some Field of Glory that I'm playing with someone. That's not a replacement for DBA, but it's something to do. It's something to do. I guess we could use this one. I worked on this a tiny little bit after the video yesterday, but nothing really of note to comment. Geez, everybody's up in early. You're off to church. Well, hallelujah. There we go. So we're going to do the same thing on this. Obviously, there's going to be a different emblem on this war wagon than the previous one, but same type of thing. Going to be Hungarianish type thing. Actually, if you watched any of the video yesterday, at one point I was talking about looking at an old Historicon program. I guess I'll call it a program. The thing they give it to you in a convention that says where the shows are where the different games are being played and what location, advertisers, vendors, and where they're located. And I remember the last one I went to, it was a vendor that had all kinds of interesting stuff, and I couldn't remember who they were, but I remembered where they were located in the vendor hall. So I looked them up, and found out who they are, went to their website, and realized they had a lot of cool stuff there. It's a vendor I'd never heard of before. Um, I believe it's something along the lines of Army Group Center Gaming or something like that. And so I went to their website and I figured, well, a while has passed since then. That was July of 2019. There was no Historicon last year. And yeah, they have an active website and they have a lot of plastic toy soldier stuff. And in particular, I'm looking for, um, I mean, I don't have to get it anytime soon, but I was looking for a vendor in the United States that had certain figure pack. Um, I'm not really, I don't like plastic figures, but sometimes I got to make it an exception if they're really, really cool. So um, I was looking for a certain dismounted tank crew for the Soviets, um, and they carry them or they have them listed. So that's better. There's another vendor that has them on eBay, but man, by the time you add the price of the figures and the shipping is like $25 or something like that. That's just absurd for one pack. I like doing stuff like that. I may never actually order them, but I like doing all the footwork of who makes it and where I can get them and how much it would cost and this, that, and the other. So, um, yeah, it was a vendor I'd actually never heard of before, but they had a really big display at Historicon, including like these almost like a labyrinth of kits. So, I actually pulled out the World War II rules one day last week during the middle of the week just to kind of look at them. And I'm really going to have to, whenever I start doing that, it's going to have to be a day that the girls are not around. And I'm just going to have to go to sit there and almost like I'm studying for the bar, just to kind of create some study guides of flow charts of what goes first and what goes next, just to kind of get in the flow of doing that again. But I'm not in a huge hurry to do that. But right now, I'm just enjoying painting the World War II guys as a distraction. But won't be playing any bolt action or anything very basic with them. That's not my cup of tea. So I don't know how long a session this one's going to be because I already hear people stirring. So we will see. But I figured I'd give it a shot. We went a lot longer yesterday than I was planning on it, so it's no big deal. Yesterday normally would have been um, from when I started until like 6:40, so about an hour and change. So we got a lot more yesterday, so I'm not worried about it. Geez, everybody's here early. Good afternoon, Harvey. But in all my years of doing hobby stuff, I've, I've kind of gotten rid of that itch to buy things. You know, itch of overbuying things. Like, oh, this is cool, and then you order it, and then you don't do anything with it. Like, those days are long gone. Only reason I'll break that rule is if I see something that's like a flea market, which is what we call, I think you guys call it a bring and buy or something like that. But anyhow, a swap meet type thing where it is just somebody just wants to get rid of it. And it's something there's a chance I get used use in the future, but it's just so cheap that I just can't pass it up. And obviously, it's something I'm already interested in. It's not like I'm buying something totally out of my realm of things because it's inexpensive. But an example I give you is last Historicon, some guy was selling some museum miniatures, Byzantines, and I want to say they're useful for like the Justinian period or Heraclean period. They're all the same pose, and you had some cavalry, some infantry, all kinds of stuff. The infantry are kind of a weird. Museum stuff's really strange. I don't dislike them, but they supposedly have the same sculptor, or so I've heard. He's the owner, which is kind of cool because they have kind of a vested interest then, But and I've had great service from museum, but sometimes their foot figures are either really small or really big in this case compared to the cavalry figures, and they mix up just fine on an army. I don't have a big problem, but I wouldn't want to mix them on the same stand. Although I did. One of my Irish auxilia, one of my Irish, yeah, drink coffee that is. One of my Irish auxilia stands have one of their figures that's almost 20 millimeter size, you know, and he works fine, because it's one guy and he just happens to be the big guy that eats all the porridge. But they're not uniformed. In other words, he just, they're different. But But anyhow, I don't have a problem with museum, but sometimes their stings are really out of scale, and that's the case for some of these infantry figures. I figured out they're really really big. The Assyrians, yes, believe it or not, I have some a Book One Army figures for a Book One Army. Not that they're ever going to see the light of day, but I picked them up probably 2007 at Historicon. The guy was selling them for 35 cents a mounted figure and 17 a foot. So I ended up picking up Mongols, and which I haven't painted yet, uh, Assyrians, some of the Turks that I have painted, and so forth. But they're Assyrians. The horses on the Assyrian chariots are tiny. I mean, they're like greyhounds, and the foot figures are very very large. So it's a mixed bag. But boy, I really did digress there. But anyhow, they for $1 a pack, I just wasn't going to leave them on the table. So I got Byzantines now for museum. Now I'm not going to build a whole army with them. If I ever get around to doing that, I'll probably buy some other manufacturers and mix them in. But who knows when the hell that'll be? They're not anywhere near the top of the. They should be though, because they fight the Ostrogoths, and I have them, and I like my Ostrogoths a lot. But anyways, that's my story. So now I do enjoy looking for things and going through the entire process up to the point where I hit buy. Because what do I need more figures for that are just going to sit there? So I know I may be the exception. Some of you guys are still keeping the economy going, but cricketer French, welcome, bonjour. In France, the equivalent of a flea market, at least in the absence of COVID, is a brocante, or is it brocante, where each village takes it in turn to put up their unwanted stuff up for sale. Not many 50 millimeter figures, though, or any figures for that matter, I would imagine. We're our deviants here on the fringe of society here, thus war gamers. Just so happens I'm presently painting museum's English Civil War foot. Bought them during museum's January sale. Nice figures. Hopefully you didn't get a huge change in the scale. Now I think that their new stuff what do they call it? The Z stuff. I think that's all in pretty good scale, but some of the older stuff's all over the place. And I'm okay with it. It's just nice going in. I had somebody that let me think. Yeah, he's definitely a frequent watcher of this channel, and it's weird saying channel. My videos. He watches my videos and comments on them. And he sent me a personal message the other day, yesterday, and asked me about museum figures. He apparently ordered some and was less than satisfied with what he got. And I told him it's a mixed bag. I don't dislike their stuff, but sometimes you don't know what you're going to get. They do a good job of putting almost all of their figures online, but it doesn't sometimes apparent, which ones are smaller than others. Like I got the guys riding the Mongol horses. Some of them were just tiny, which is okay because I understand they were ponies. But sometimes you have medieval figures on very small horses, and sometimes they're not. So it's kind of a mixed bag. But I don't dislike them, and I've had great service from them. So maybe if you don't like what you get from them, maybe you can contact them and send them back. But I could think of very few things that I would enjoy doing less than going to the post office, especially these days. Just, I had to in the last 6 months, and it was a pain in the ass. So unpleasant. So, but yeah, I have heard, people have told me that they have bought an Essex Army pack, for instance, and didn't like the selection of figures that they got in there and contacted them for replacement and that they replaced them. That's what I've heard. So please don't make me go to the post office. I don't like going there. Well, first of all, okay, the hours that they're open, I'm only going to be able to go on a work day. And the hours that they're open, I have to go on my lunch. And my lunch is like holy hour. Okay, that's like my decompressed time. I don't want to have anything I have to do, much less wait in line with a bunch of other grumpy people. So, yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't know, maybe somebody out there who actually enjoys going to the post office. So that's what I've heard. I've heard that they exchange the figures. I don't know if that'll do that for everybody, but wish I would have known that 30 years ago. Before I even got into DBA, I'd bought an army pack from Essex. I bought two of them. Well, I'd intended to buy one, and then I got the wrong figures. And then I bought another one, figuring, oh, maybe they're in the later pack. I got the wrong figures again. I swore off using them for a long time. Well, I won't do Essex army packs. I won't do them. So I don't mind their figures, but I'll buy them individually and get the figures I want. I figure I have a better chance of selecting the correct ones that go in a stand than the actual manufacturer. They probably have some guy putting them together that doesn't give a shit, you know. So it's all right. And they make the right figures. They just didn't have them in there. So My underscale figures are some old Mike's models that are still available for masters who took over the molds. Yeah, I have a whole bunch of them. They're definitely squatty little guys. They have a lot of detail, but they're squat. Yeah, a sample Persian Figure Museum's new range. When I ordered my Scott's ECW, I was impressed. Just visit their factory and select the ones you want. Yeah, that's damn near impossible. That's damn near impossible these days. And if I was going to go to Europe, the UK would not be my first. I've never been to Europe, and but UK is not my first place to go to. Sorry, folks in the UK. Nothing against you, just I got to go to the homeland first. We got to go to Spain first. So that's then the order doesn't matter. But like if I want a trip to Europe, and they said you're going to go to, let's see, where's a place I want to go to Europe that Greece or Croatia or and I go to one of those places before I go to Spain. I don't know if I could do it. I don't know. It's, I don't know. It's no big deal. These times we live in, I don't know. Is that a factory you can actually walk into? I've wanted to go to other factories for in other industries, and they're like, "Well, there's no visitors off the street." I'm like, "Okay. Well, I don't want to steal your secrets, you know. I don't want to work in that job, but I guess some people would. Some of you corrupt people out there, you know who you are. Cheaters and corrupt people." Essex people are very friendly and have complete range on display. Cool. And they do a pretty good job of taking pictures of all their figures. There's a few missing, which I don't understand why that's the case, but it might be 10% missing or something like that. It's not a big number. Come to Poland. I filled you with vodka and you will be immortal. I wouldn't mind going to Poland. I wouldn't mind going to Poland. You guys are very US friendly, anyways. Good. Just fill me up with that kielbasa, man. That stuff's great. I don't want to know how you guys make it, but it tastes wonderful. If this is not exactly the same color wood as the other one, that's probably a good thing. We're going to add a little bit of the core color. I don't remember if I did that yesterday. And then before we end up adding the white on there and going in that direction. Just almost like a thick wash. So I can get away with doing 7 layers or whatever because it's super thin. I feel you full of vodka. I like that. Well, we do any World War II gaming, and that's going to come out. I am not a fan of. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say it. But of all the alcohols, that are common, the one I drink the least is vodka. But we could change that as long as I can put on it. We're doing some World War II gaming and doing vodka shots. So it's dangerous on the wall. I spent loads of walking into the producer's premises. I gotta believe I'm past that. Me too. You order whiskey. Yeah, I don't spend money on stuff like I used to. I don't think it's that I'm stingy. I've made so many impulse buys, and I really haven't made many in the last 10 years for sure. But I've made so many impulse buys in the past and just felt rotten afterwards. Like I just wasted my money that I'm kind of don't do that anymore. If you know something is still going to be available, there's no incentive in buying it right now. But if you came across something that was, some figures that were out of production or something, yeah, you need to just gobble them all up. But if it's something that's still readily available, like these people will run these sales. Like I think museum sales one of the best ones out there. They run their January sale. They have last couple of years for 25% off. That's pretty darn good. And but it's not enough of an incentive to buy something for someone that like me that doesn't really need it. And likewise, I'd rather just pay 25% more and get those things when I need them instead of buying them ahead of time. Like I've got a almost all of our French Hundred Years' War Army to do. I haven't done them because it's a fairly popular army. So what do you guys need to see another French Hundred Years' War Army out there for, right? I mean, there's plenty of them. But it would be nice because it's the two Harbachs have an English one, and we could stick it to them with that army. But in order to do it, I think I need a pack of some spearmen or I would like to have a pack of some spearmen from museum. They're a specific kind of spearmen that they have a long shield that almost looks like a door of a house on them, and almost like a pavise. But they make a pack of the guys, and they're the illustration that's right out of Armies and Enemies of Europe, one of the books. It's a nice looking figure, but I may need like two packs of them, maybe only one. But it's just, I'm not working on that army right now, so I'll just wait to order it whenever I need it. If I get around to building, I mean, I may never build that army, so that'd be a beautiful army with all the heraldry and stuff. But it's going to take a lot of research to kind of create something with all of the heraldry from the different battles. But next army should be what I talked about being a boring one, so they're out. Meaning, guys that are just peasant-like, peasant, ununiformed, everything. So, good morning, evening. Yep, it's I don't think it's quite Sunday. I mean Monday for you, but your Sunday's about gone. You got a head start on it than most of us. So, those sales are good, but they don't really affect me a whole lot. I'm not I said I don't think it's being stingy. It's I've just made lots of impulse buys and just and felt. I mean, if you could see how many how many vehicles I have in 20 millimeter scale that I haven't done anything with. Well, I guess it's not that many, not for a war gamer, but I probably have 40 or 50. So, as much as I'd want to buy some other ones, I'm not going to let myself do that until I finish these other ones, or I absolutely have to have them for a scenario, and I have everything else painted. So I'll put that little caveat in there. But I had to keep myself on a short leash. Just like I don't want to leave these Hungarians and start painting some other army, you know? Then all the time I did painting these guys was wasted. So, but those of you that overbuy keep the industries moving. So they'll hopefully will send you a gold star you can put on your forehead for that. Do Slavs. I can't. I don't have the figures. And I already have, I don't know, 50 armies that I already have the figures for. Otherwise, I would do Slavs. And I'd use those forged in battle figures, which they look really cool. And it's an army that nobody does. And it's an army that's pretty neat. So, it's fun playing the armies that nobody thinks about or think they're weakish and whoop ass with them for sure. Plus, buying would explain all the Persians and Greeks have yet to paint. Yep. Oh, hold on. We need to answer something. Okay. That was the daughter saying, "Hey, you ready to go out for breakfast?" I'm like, "Great. You woke up the earliest I ever did on the day that I woke up the latest, so give me till 8:30. So we got another 25 minutes or so. We can do this. Let's see how far we can get this done. Let's uh let's move this along. I still would like to get this war wagon done today. We'll see if that happens. Still got a lot of crew to do. 7.5 figures to paint. No, 9.5 figures to paint. So, man, I hope it's cold outside. I don't know. It was in the 40s all day yesterday, so just give me 50s. I'll even take 60s. Just don't warm up to 80 again. It's only February. Have mercy. Is Poland really wet? Is it a wet cold? I bet it is. That's a good thing. I mean, it makes it even colder, but I can't deal with the dryness. Like the cold out west, man. It's out west in the United States is beautiful, but it's so dry. It's so dry. Like you need to drink water medicinally or you get migraine. I can't think of worse things to have than a migraine. So speaking of polls, I know we were talking about the other day. We were talking about the polls, and I had commented that when I was doing the T-34s, I'm not going to build any Polish. I'm not building any Polish communist forces. I'm just not going to do it. So If I was going to build Polish troops, it'd be like their armored division that fought around Falaise Pocket and stuff like that, or the 1939 Poles. But anyhow, so I was thinking about the Normandy Poles, and I was thinking, you don't see any infantry that say, oh, Polish infantry in Normandy. Did they wear like regular kit from like British kit, like helmets and stuff like that? I guess they did. They would have. And I've never seen the Polish Liberation Army infantry either. Like you've seen the T-34s with the eagle on them and stuff like that on them, but you never see the infantry. I guess they wore regular Soviet stuff as well. But I guess they do wear regular Polish. They probably do use regular English equipment. But there's a scenario book that I almost picked up this last week about battles in the Falaise Pocket. But I'm like, nah, you don't need that right now. So I talked myself out of it. Good boy. They have a skirmish campaigns on that. The Paras were British parakeet. Yes, but not Paras. Just regular ground troops. British stuff. Okay. All right. Yeah, that Falaise battle book, whatever it's called. I think it's called Firestorm Falaise. The problem with it is that I haven't looked at it, but it has, obviously has the Germans. It has Wehrmacht and SS stuff. Plus, it has, if I remember correctly, it has Americans, it has Poles, and it has Brits. So it's like you couldn't like build one force and use it against everything. There might be scenarios where you have to build all four, which could be taxing for someone like me. I was just brainstorming. That's why I didn't get it. So I do like those skirmish campaign books, but I don't want to paint any SS troops, man. That camo would. I've never tried it. I think it'd probably turn out okay, but I got better things to do than that. There's some wizards already that do that. You look at it and I'm like, man, that stuff looks amazing. But you see their wizardry, but you don't see all the mistakes that they made on their way to get to that level. So I know there might be a learning curve on it, but I don't think I have any 20 millimeter SS figures other than some really early war stuff. So, as a matter of fact, all their submachine guns that they have, all their weapons that they have, and those their casts on those figures, they obviously have Mausers, but their submachine guns are all Bergmans, MP28s, I think, MP28s, and the Czech light machine gun. I don't know what it is. I can never remember those Czech machine guns that start with a lowercase letter like Z or something. But anyhow, those troops I think are like useful for like France in 1940. So I like the figures. Just they're really 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 early. I have never painted them. They just have the smocks. They don't have the full. They don't have the full pants and everything. They got jack boots and just the smocks. but I've never painted them. Hopefully, if I ever paint them, by the time I paint them, I'm allowed to post pictures of them online. Nobody gets offended. Ugh, I'll probably never get around to doing them. But speaking of offensive things, I've started watching. I didn't realize how many of these that were out there. That show by World of Tanks called Inside the Chieftain's Hatch. And I've watched some of them before, but since I'm doing this World War II stuff and painting the vehicles, it's kind of interesting seeing the kind of inner workings of some of these vehicles. And other than the multiple cuts, because it seems like they cut from one scene to another every 5 seconds, it's pretty entertaining. But I was watching one of the Pans before the other day, and that was the one that they had. They said it was at the museum in Münster, and the Tank Museum in Münster, and they had the Africa Corps emblem on it, and they put like piece of electrical tape over the swastika part of the Africa Corps emblem, and yeah, they made them put that on there. I don't know why. I'm actually surprised that. I bet that's probably on the museum because I know that you can't have stuff like that in a German museum, and I see their point. I see their point in Germany. But I remember when I was building model kits a long time ago, there was this one company, I don't remember who it was, uh, but I had built a model of a 1/72nd scale. I want to say it was a Dornier 2017, 2017, DO17. I don't remember which model. I think it was an E, but it was the first one they used. It was very sleek. They used it in the Spanish Civil War, and they used it in early stages of World War II, and that kind of stuff. And it came with the decal with the swastika emblem on it. But I may still have it because I kept all my decals. Well, the other day I pulled them out and I couldn't find them again. So I put all my decals in one place where I could get them easily. So I started working on my tanks and I found them, pulled out the ones that I needed, put them off to the side, and then in my haste, put them somewhere. I have no idea where the hell I put them. They're safe. They just don't know where they are. Well, all my 135th scale decals when I did 135th scale armor in there, any airplane things, I keep all the decals. I wanted to look through them afterwards, like 2 weeks after I pulled them out, and don't know where the hell I put them in there. But these decals, I believe, were in there. They had because I don't think I finished the plane or I had extra decals left over or something. But they were they were round bells that went on the wings, and and there was a swastika on them, but there was a slash through them, and it was split. Of course, we're talking like 1990, 1990, 91 when I had this kit. And I don't remember who the brand was. I don't know if it was Academy or something like that, but it was it was a swastika that you had to put together. So it was actually two different ones, so they could get around the boycott that they had of putting that on on the vehicle. So um, yeah, I always thought that was interesting. And then, of course, anything like the old Airfix stuff, they all had swastikas on them. Oh, well. Oh, boy. British or Canadian with small difference. Okay. Six armies in Normandy, D-Day, Deliberation at Paris, June, John Keegan. I have, I know you guys may not believe me. I am a World War II nut. I just haven't messed with it in like a couple decades, but I got a couple. If you paint SS, you should paint lots of dead civilians to go with them. Well, nobody makes figures for them. So, I was thinking of doing something would be really cool would be I've French partisans. I've got, or as you guys call them, maquis. Um, I've got probably a platoon of them, about 30 of them. But I have to build them from scratch. In other words, I haven't painted a single one, but it would be cool. I'd like doing that. Uh, and that would be really well suited to the scale of gaming that I like to do. Do scenario from 1939, Galika Station, provocation when Germans in Polish uniforms attacked German radio station. They actually have a skirmish campaign book on 1939 in Poland. But I tell you what, I can't stand. I can't stand talk about painting things. You guys, you know, I've talked about the Commonwealth tanks with a white star on them. I can't do that. I can't put a Commonwealth star on it. I mean, I can't put a white star on a Commonwealth tank. I just think it looks stupid. Like, why didn't they use roundels? You know, because it would look better. It's just like you're like devaluing the value of our other allies. I just think it looks dumb. Okay, so there's things that I just don't do, even if they're realistic. So I have the Sherman Firefly. It does not have any of those. But the other thing I dislike is I dislike the Germans when they had just a white cross without the center in black. It just doesn't look right. It's like, who are you fighting? The Swiss? And those early war berets, those are silly. But you know, they used them. That's why they were so angry and invaded people. They were upset about their uniforms. And they had this Panzer threes and Panzer fours without the little turret bustle in the back. So they'd look like a bald baby. I don't like those either. Oh man. Yeah. You make me wear this? The hell with you. We're going to attack everyone. Everyone going down. So, speaking of Normandy, stuff I've had for 20 years. This is an excellent book, and I don't remember where the hell I got it. I got many of them, but this one in particular is really, really cool. Holy shit. Wow. I just had a moment on something. Unbelievable. Okay, well, we'll have to bring that up. That's a good holy shit, by the way. Let's put this off this side. Yeah, we're probably done painting. Doesn't mean we're off, though. All right, let's move this off to the side, move this. I actually had something happen. It's never happened to me before. It's kind of cool. All right. This is a sign when you have too many things like that. This happens. We'll get to that. This is the book I wanted to tell you about. This is back when you had to get books. Panzers in Normandy. And let's see if we can jack this up. Let's get this all jacked up. Get this in the right configuration. Be able to see stuff. And yeah, this has all kinds. Oh, I put it on there. Here we go. This has all kinds of different. Let's see, how do I do this? Well, you guys just have to deal with it upside down. I can't turn the. Well, can I? Let's see. Well, I don't know what the hell I'm filming, so hopefully it's in register. Here we go. I had this a while. You know, talking about the different, I don't know, some of the stuff may be inaccurate. It tells you all the divisions and how many Panzer IVs, 3s, or whatever. Yeah, but it still doesn't tell me which mark of they have. You could figure it out. And all our friendly Nazi guys. I thought there was color stuff in here. Maybe it's the captured French tanks. This has got to be one of the ones from Panzer 21. old Panzer 4D. Anyways, this is a pretty cool book, or I thought it was. I don't know, I'm kind of underimpressed as I'm, this black and white picture, there's so much color stuff now. Or, you look at this, you know, you just go online is usually the first place I go to and check things out. So, anyways, you reminded me about that. Um, the oh shit moment I had was this. So, I talked about, I was recently reading a memoir on Audible. It's this book. I didn't even know that I had this book. Is this one of these military book club things? No, I don't. I think so. I could have been listening to the book and then just reading along with it. I'm almost done with the darn book. It's an okay book. It's not, none of it is particularly captivating, but now I know what the guy looks like. I got pictures of this stuff. Anyhow, the author right with it. That's not what he looked like when I was listening to him. No, but I'm almost done with this book on Audible, and I actually have the actual book. I have and never opened it, as you can see. So, wow. That's how you spell that. So there's a scene in there. He basically joins up. He's a replacement guy that shows up on the Russian front around Stalingrad. Actually, it's very similar to, and I'm wondering if it didn't get taken from this book, but the German movie Stalingrad. How those, if you guys watched that, the one from 1993, where they all hang out in Italy and they work their way into and as a replacement in the Stalingrad fighting. That's kind of how this book starts, and I'm wondering if didn't get taken from this book to do that movie. Let's see, was this printed before 1993? Um, Published 2002. It's got to be before that. First published in 1998. Anyhow, so this is the memoirs of this guy, and I'm almost like I think I got an hour left of the book on audio, and here it is. So I may just pick it up and listen to it while I'm flipping the pages. That's kind of cool. I had no idea I had this thing, but there is I like to. Sometimes the pronunciation does not give you the correct. Um, I like to see things written down. So there's one part in the book um, that there's one word in the book that keeps repeating. This is when he was attached to the 24th Panzer Division, and he was a machine gunner, and he kept repeating this word called Rachel, and what that means, it's like a depression, almost like a gully. Okay, and they used it to either camp out in or hide from the elements in or whatever. And I was just flipping, and it's spelled like Rachel, like the girl's name Rachel. I'd never seen that word ever before. But yeah, like those gullies that they have in the steppe or whatever. I was just flipping through that. But look at that. I have this book, never even opened it, and I've almost finished reading it. Oh, he's got maps here. Oh, man. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to reread this. Or maybe I'll reread it and like, oh, I like that. Stop. Go to the book and see if there's a picture about it. But yeah, there's a scene where they bring in the flamethrower tanks. And I know I have a Panzer III with a flamethrower, but I don't know. Anyhow, pretty cool. Oh, that was my oh shit moment. So that's a sign that you have too many things when things like that happen. Um, wow, we'll leave that out for sure. Yeah. And then I also have another series of books. I have another book that I probably should do a video on this. This is a guy, I've got three of his books. One of them is definitely out of print. I don't know if they're any good. I read them a long time ago. I read two of them a long time ago. We'll go back to doing this. This is a guy when I was working at a hobby store. He was an author. He was a local author. And I don't live in a very big metropolitan area, so when you have a local author, that's kind of a unique thing. This guy was an American, but he did a lot of things on the Eastern Front. He was fascinated by the Eastern Front. And he wrote a lot of historical fiction. And this is the early 1990s. And he came to the store and wanted us to sell his book. And I picked up a copy of it. I think it was $20 at the time, something like that. And it's out of print. I think I looked at this maybe a couple years ago, and somebody was trying to sell a copy for like $300. Well, it doesn't mean that they actually sold it for that, but it's out of print, and it's got some illustrations, but they're really, really basic or whatever. And this almost reads like, if I remember correctly, almost like a Clive Barker type of. It's not supernatural, but it's definitely does not show the pretty side of stuff. So he did that one, and then he did the second one, Madness Without End, and the second one is called Demyansk, which is they're short stories. For instance, in here there are. It's all Eastern Front stuff. Some of the time, sometimes it's from the German perspective, and sometimes it's from the Soviet perspective. So, yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So yeah, here's his drawings. These are like stuff that he personally drew. So this was printed, I think, like 91, 99, 92. The author ended up dying in the mid 90s, 1994. Yeah, Prairie in Gainesville, Florida. Yeah. So his name is Russ Schneider, and he was an American, even though he has a German name. But and then this one, same thing. This one has several. This one wasn't as good. The stories were bigger. They were longer, which means you got less of them on here. So this one only has 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 4 stories in here. And this one was printed in 1995. And then the third one, which I've never read, or that's not true. I've actually have a bookmark. Make sure there's not some girl's number marked on this bookmark, because it's like a piece of, it's a piece of, it's a napkin. This one was, just Siege. This one went out on the military book club. I believe so. I believe that's where I got it from. Yep, military book club. Back when I was a member in the late 90s. And this is all about Veliki. And when was this one? This is copyright 2003, but I think this may have been put together after. Oh, here it is. He died in 2000 at the age of 43. Yeah. There's a little end cap on the author. So I met him. I think he was a gamer. You know, he liked to game and do stuff like that. But, oh, I pulled the marker where I left off from it. I'm going to have to read this thing again. So this is, I think I got this one because this Siege takes place in a game that I used to play way back then called V for Victory, Veliki, and it focuses on that. But these are his 3 books. This one I can recommend, but it's out of print, so I got to reread that some. Maybe there'll be some ideas for scenarios, but you know, there's definitely some morbid stuff in there. Or at the time, I thought it was pretty morbid. Who knows? Maybe I've hardened now, but you know, stuff about, you know, decorating a tank with skulls and things like that. So stuff that you don't normally see. But yeah. All right. So we're gonna wrap this one up. But I wanted to show you guys this and the other book that I never even read, but I'm reading it now. How funny! How funny! Oh well, stuff happens, right? Yeah, we'll get into the World War II stuff that we have as we paint more World War II stuff. But I got, I don't have a ton of books on it, but I have very particular books. Very, you know, I don't have like, like stuff that like Churchill would write, or I have very focused type things. So maybe we'll bring some of those other ones up, but I probably should do a video just on this stuff, but I probably should read it first. But yeah, it's out of print. So anyhow, okay. Well, that's it, folks. We will catch you guys next time, and happy painting. Bye-bye.